you've got huge experience both of the Parliament and the Council. What went wrong? How did it come to this with Britain apparently going to leave the EU?
Well, if you go right back, of course, the origin is a civil war within the Conservative Party between pro and anti-Europeans, which David Cameron thought he could easily resolve with a referendum, which was insufficiently prepared, the arguments weren't properly put, and he managed to contrive to lose it.
Are there things that the European institutions could have done and should have done, or maybe things they should not have done, like the whole sort of Spitzenkandidaten episode that just made it harder?
No, well, the European institutions can't intervene in an internal debate in a member state, in a referendum campaign or anything like that. In terms of what they've done over the years, let's not forget that when we say the European institutions, they're not something on another planet that hand down decrees. Britain is there around the table. These things are done with British governments agreeing to them or not done.
Why do you think that that's so ill appreciated in Britain, that there seems to be very little perception of a club that we're part of, and rather more of this sort of undemocratic bureaucracy just handing down orders?
Because stereotypes like exactly that, undemocratic democracy handing down orders, is perpetuated in the press. The European bureaucracy, which is smaller in size than Leeds City Council, by the way, only has the right to propose. It doesn't decide on EU legislation. EU legislation has to be approved both by elected MEPs and by ministers from the elected governments of the member states meeting in the council. It's elected politicians that decide, not unelected bureaucrats. But you'd scarcely find an English language newspaper in the UK that actually says that.
Well, we are where we are. What, in your view, is the best solution now in terms of Article 50 and the process of leaving?
Well, the negotiations for the so-called divorce deal are continuing. I think once we get a deal, I think the British people, the British Parliament, has a right to consider it and say, now that we see black on white what Brexit actually entails, if it's a bad deal, if it looks as though it will be damaging to Britain, which is quite possible, especially with the chaotic and costly, confusing process going ahead under this government at the moment, we must ensure that we have the right to change our minds.
So you're an advocate of a further referendum on the deal?
Legally, of course, Parliament can do it. The referendum was advisory, but I think in practice, politically, probably you would need another referendum. Otherwise, for years and years ahead, you will get the narrative: the people voted to leave and the politicians stopped it. Even though opinion polls are showing that many people are changing their minds on this, that is the narrative they would give.
I mean, any deal is going to be some kind of compromise. A lot of people are going to be unhappy with it, whether they wish we were remaining or are hard Brexiteers. Is it fair for the choice to be this deal or staying in? Wouldn't they be equally entitled to say, well, we should be given the option of walking away rather than doing a deal at all?
I think the fundamental problem is that neither of the key Brexit options really works very well for Britain. Either we leave entirely, including the European single market and the European customs union, not just the EU itself, which would have huge economic damage to Britain, many job losses and a big downturn, or we stay in the single market and the customs union, but then of course we have to follow most of the common rules for the common market, over which we will have no say anymore as they evolve over time and as the EU wants to change them, which means actually losing control and not being very democratic. It's an unpalatable choice, but actually neither of these Brexit options really works very well for Britain.
Do you think there actually will be a deal done? I mean, or will in fact the two sides fail to agree, as at the moment seems quite possible?
It's possible always, of course, but the downside of a divorce without even an agreement, the legal limbo for countless problems, the reversion to WTO tariffs on trade, that would have such damaging consequences that everybody wants to avoid that if possible.
And just a thought, is it is it a little strange that Britain is leaving leaving the EU when almost many other European countries who aren't in the EU would love to join, and having to do some deals to try and settle for a compromise until and unless they can join?
Yeah, there's a long queue of countries who want to join the European Union, the Western Balkan countries, even Ukraine. Turkey's been knocking on the doors for ages and is pretty unlikely to join because it's far from meeting the conditions and the democratic conditions for that. But in a way it is a paradox, yes.